Welcome to Epilogue Podcast, the show where we discuss some stuff that happened on a different show ages ago which nobody really cares about anymore.
Hi, I'm Portponky.
And I'm LeBloc.
Today we're discussing Farscape, Season 1, Episode 15. Durka returns. Captain Durka of the Zelbinian is brought aboard by brainwashing aliens and then runs amok. How did you find this episode?
I loved this one. I think it's the first episode I have said that. I really like the show and the characters, and I've enjoyed the episodes so far. I've found them entertaining. But this is the first one I really, really like.
Why did you like this one? Like, what set this one apart from the ones before it?
First of all, Chiana is a really compelling character. I liked every scene with her in it. It pointed out the things that were wrong with a character several episodes back that I complained about her delivery and her presence was weird. But here she is mysterious. We don't know what's going on. She doesn't play it too over the top, but then she rides that line, and I was really engaged. So there's that. And then Farscape does this thing. It's done this thing several times where they'll set it up, and I think they're going in an obvious direction, and then they don't go that direction, and I love that. And here, when Rigel sees Durka and he realizes, oh, it's him, and he has these flashbacks, so we know. I thought what they were going to do was have a whole episode of everyone telling Rigel, oh, you're crazy, it's not him, he's dead, how could it be him? And then he keeps having these flashbacks.
Yeah.
It's such an obvious direction to go in, and I thought that's what they were going to do, and I was worried, and they didn't. They never tell us who murdered that guy. What was his name? Salas.
Yeah,
I love ambiguous stuff.
That's one of the standout things for this episode for me. They leave that hanging in the air, which casts serious doubt over Chiana's character.
It does, and we don't get a confirmation. They don't get a confirmation. Oh, and another thing they did that I really like. When John makes the bomb, this is something I've complained about in an earlier episode, but they did it right here. He makes the bomb using knowledge that he gained earlier in the episode, not right before he needed to make the bomb, and that's great. And it was really fluid. It didn't stand out to me when he learns how to properly make a bomb. It didn't hit me, oh, he's going to use that. It felt like a little throwaway comment. It was perfect.
The whole last act was quite cleverly written, with him trying to use the ship's weapons in the bay.
Yeah, I love that. How he wanted to shoot the baby.
It was a fantastic shot of Durka running onto the Nabari ship, where he runs out of the bay set and I guess swaps the CG as it pans around as he arrives in the ship's cockpit.
Oh yeah, that
so good.
Stood out to me, and it was really great.
It looks a bit kind of CG cheesy, as all the CG shots generally do in old shows, but the way it was put together was really fluid.
Given their limited tool set, it looked nice. I also really liked how this alien race that was introduced was really set on mind control and changing people and what they perceived as fixing flaws, and how interesting that is.
It seemed like they were going to go into sort of moral discussion about who has the moral authority, as Chiana said. But then Salas got murdered, so that never really happened. I'd have been okay with that.
Yeah, it's a shame they didn't have that conversation, but I did like that he challenged John when John questioned him about their justice system, and he's saying, well, who are you to judge?
At the same time, you should probably not torture people on someone else's ship.
Yeah, kind of a faux pas.
It's a bit awkward.
I like how uncomfortable I was while she was being tortured. It went on just long enough to where I was starting to squirm, and you should squirm when you see someone being tortured.
One would hope so, yes.
Yeah. Another thing I liked was
Wow,
that
this is so positive.
yeah, I know. I do have one negative, and I'll get to
Okay.
that. But another thing I liked was that Rigel saves the day in a way again.
Yeah, he called it from the start. To be fair, he didn't know, but he did call it. He said, he's evil. We should kill that guy. If they'd listened to Rigel, they would have been fine. Although they'd possibly also all be sociopaths.
And he had an opportunity to team up with Chiana, and he didn't take it. He risked himself to tell the crew that she had escaped.
I wonder why he didn't.
That surprised me. I couldn't think of why. I guess he thought he had a better chance of killing Durka without her.
Is my opinion just so low of him that I thought he would take any path which has short-term benefits for himself?
Well, you have to think what he wants most, what looms large in that tiny head of his. And at that moment, I thought it was, I must kill Durka. Maybe it still was. And he is just so brilliant and knows a scheme to make that happen that I couldn't think of. But I thought he would take her offer.
I think the idea was if he sells her out, the crew will trust him to behave, so they may release him.
Ah, there you go.
What was your negative? You said you had one.
Too much slow-mo. I don't understand why there was so much slow-mo.
Yes, that did feel a bit like they ran short on footage.
That's what I thought of. I thought, oh man, we're a little short. Let's just extend some walking scenes with pointless slow-mo.
It's when John is finding Chiana, isn't it? And generally when he's walking around the corridors, it's kept slowing down.
When he's dodging explosion, sure, I'll give you that. But not when he's walking around. And he's not under duress or experiencing the effects of a drug or some sort of mental impairment. It was him literally just walking around.
I think he was supposed to be sneaking up on Chiana, but whatever it was, slow-mo didn't give any real value to that.
No.
I can only imagine they were short on footage and needed like 20 seconds longer. Especially as it wasn't slow-mo camera, it was regular speed footage, which they just slowed down, wasn't it?
I think so, because it looked bad.
The frame rate was poor.
Yeah. Another thing I thought was odd, I didn't think it was bad necessarily, just odd, and that's when Durka gives himself a haircut.
It's to divide the character.
Okay. That's fair.
It's visually different.
Yeah, it's for the audience.
Represent the inward changes. He kept using that knife for mundane things. He'd pull it out threateningly and then give himself a gentle haircut. Or take Rigel's comms badge off.
He's really skilled with that blade. I expected to see a few nicks on his head.
Well, he has some slight scarring.
What, around his eye?
Yeah. That was all from knife tricks that went wrong.
He's really sensitive about scars on his head.
He's left-handed, but he was trying to become ambidextrous, which is why all the scars are on the right-hand side.
You have me convinced.
Okay. The amount of things he was doing with the knife, I expected him to pull it out and then just turn to the side and cut a sandwich.
Pick his teeth.
Yeah, he did everything with the knife apart from actually cut anyone. Yeah, I don't know. He only did a couple things. I'm picking at hairs here. Sticking with the knife though, when Aaron pulled it from Rigel, it made like an unsheathing sound for no reason.
Yeah, they always do that though in movies and TV shows. How else will people know you quickly grabbed a knife other than seeing it?
It tells you that the knife is sharp, I guess.
It makes it seem more threatening.
It makes it silly as well.
It does. Let's get back to the good stuff.
Okay. Did you have something in mind?
Yeah, I have several more still.
Go for it.
I loved that Aaron was excited to meet Durka and then was totally disappointed. It made me think of that old saying, never meet your heroes, and how it could play out like this.
It was quite funny how he just verified everything Rigel said.
Yeah. Not a even tiny bit of deviation.
Yeah, he used the same terms as well. Faked his death.
Oh yeah, faked my death. Deserted all of them. I also liked how Moya couldn't starburst and how it was as a result of the pregnancy. How they keep finding ways to remind us that she's pregnant that don't feel clunky and give us new situations. So what if a threat comes on board and they can't starburst? Because if she could starburst, he would have done that right away because that would have solved his problems. So it was really elegant how they handled that.
I don't think that would have particularly changed the episode, though. Once they had starbursted, there would be some other demand which they would have to fulfill. Like, I guess what I'm trying to say is they're not using pregnancy as a crutch for the story.
No, not a crutch, but they're letting it influence the story and the directions, and it's a healthy addition.
It would be frustrating if Moya's pregnancy saved the day. Like, if Durka had been foiled because Moya was pregnant and that was the one key thing he didn't know, or something like that.
Yeah, and especially if the crew didn't really do anything, if it was all up to the pregnancy.
Instead, it's just a plot point in amongst many. So that's good. We found out who trashed the Zilbinian.
Yeah, these scary mind control people.
Nabari. They're probably quite tough then.
They don't even have warships. They don't need them.
Yeah, that was just like a car. Regular, just car.
It was an Uber.
Not even a tank or anything. Yeah, it's just driving along, trashed a massive warship.
Which makes Chiana a bigger unknown.
Who do you think killed Celis?
I went back and forth on this. When we first discover he's dead, and the crew immediately thought, oh, it was Durka. I thought, oh, then Chiana must have done it because they're trying to lead me down the wrong path. But then he's asked directly, or it's mentioned in front of him, and he doesn't acknowledge it, and then she doesn't answer. So now I don't know. I think Gianna did it.
I think Durka did it. Probably. But
Why?
Well,
we don't have a whole lot to go on here, but we do have he tortured Chiana, so she had motive.
Okay, so Chiana had motive, but is she capable of murder? I don't know.
Maybe. We can't tell from just this.
Is Durka capable of murder?
Yes.
Definitely.
She was willing to attack John.
Yeah, hit him with a stick, though. Okay, so maybe she's murdered a lot of people and she's a psychopath. But that seems unlikely. All we have to go on is what she said her crimes were, which was non-conformity. Is that true? We have no way of knowing, but it's believable, considering how eager Salas was to correct everyone he met.
It's tough because maybe that was all to win over John.
Yeah. I don't think she's a murderer. I think if she had murdered Salas, she would have been more traumatized. I think if Durka had murdered Salas, he would have been able to do it without any change to his character. That we know
That's
for
true.
a fact.
Yeah.
Which makes me think Durka did it. But there's no way to say for certain. Of course, it's deliberately ambiguous.
I think she did do it now.
Okay. She might
But
have.
I think she didn't do it, but she likes the idea of John thinking she did.
Yes, that gives her some power.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm a cold ice killer.
That's my official stance now. She didn't kill Salas.
Then again, Durka was talking to Aaron and Rigel very soon before Salas was killed. I've switched sides to be devil's advocate.
What, you can't kill someone shortly after a conversation?
Yeah.
That's the rule.
Too drained from all the socializing.
I would slit your throat, but I am so exhausted from discussion.
I need a nap. Then I will murder you.
I really like that Rigel calls Durka pathetic and a failure, and how he needles him through his identity like that.
He mind games him. Rigel is kind of... He's got a little bravery to him. I think we've seen this before. He tends to avoid danger, but when he has no more cards left, he tends not to care. Shannon was still around at the end of the episode.
That is correct.
That's unexpected. Usually everyone they meet dies.
Did that garbologist die? I don't remember now. No, they left him.
Yeah,
right?
his life was already a living death, so they didn't need to kill him. That's so harsh. Stans is a nice guy. He had his own ship that they didn't break.
Death would be an escape, so living is worse.
Okay, they don't kill that many people, but they don't normally have people left over with nowhere to go.
I didn't expect that, but I hope that means we see more of her. I really enjoyed her performance.
She's good. She's quite alien. Her mannerisms and even the way she stands and talks and expresses herself are all very unusual.
Yeah, that really stood out. All those things were alien enough to seem different, but then not so alien that it was inaccessible or distracting.
Good job, Gigi Edgley. Would you like to share a quote from this episode with us?
When I was your age, I was focused on what I could do to fit in, not stand apart.
Oh, that does lend credence to Shanna being a nonconformist.
So you're saying she murdered him?
No, she didn't murder him then.
There were some pretty heady ideas brought up in this episode. And I kind of wish they discussed them more, but maybe it's better they didn't. And they can always discuss them later, but this idea of conformity and rebellion, what's good for the group, what's being free and individual, those are interesting topics.
Well, they kind of discuss them. In that, at the end, John says, "I owe you. The others will not be so forgiving." But I think it depends what kind of show they're trying to be. They have an idea for Farscape that's clearly more action-oriented.
Which I'm fine with. There
Yeah,
were sweet explosions in this episode as well.
They've already had a number of sweet explosions on this show, and there's another cool action sequence with grenades at the end of this episode.
Yeah,
John getting sucked out of a doorway.
That scene was cool. And if it requires that they drop a conversation or two about conformity, I'm fine if we get John barely not being sucked into space.
I like shows that engage me on some levels. I don't like it when shows sacrifice one thing to engage another. I hate popcorn flicks where the plot is just garbage because it has action sequences. But that's not Farscape. They do a good job in all departments, but they focus on telling sort of exciting stories, lots of fast-paced stuff going on, things changing, grenades.
They have a fantastic balance, good ratio of story and grenades.
A really cool shot of Durka shooting the pilot face transmitter clamshell thing.
Oh yeah, I forgot about
side
that.
shot shoots it. He doesn't even look. I think he just
No,
shots it to the side. It's really cool. I mean, they're just being silly at that point. That's unnecessarily cool.
That's part of being evil. You have to do unnecessarily cool things.
Well, hopefully this show will teach us a lot about being evil.
I think it will.
Wait a minute. That's the wrong lesson.
That's a great lesson.
Well, let's go learn it in the next episode.
Okay.